Chosen one, exactly 48 hours ago, something happened around you that was so unbelievable, so reality-shifting, that the entire spiritual dimension froze, watching, waiting, stunned. Not to interfere, not to guide, but to witness. Because what unfolded wasn't just rare, it was impossible, according to every celestial law written across thousands of years. In a moment you didn't even notice, during an ordinary hour of your ordinary day, you forced the darkness itself to bow. And no, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not using metaphors or pretty words. I'm talking about an event that shook higher realms, an event archangels gathered just to observe. You made the force that has never bowed to prophets, saints, or legends kneel. A being that chose eternal exile rather than lowering his head once, lowered it before you. And when it happened, a whisper rippled across dimensions, a whisper even the heavens didn't expect. Now listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal about why this happened, and what it means about who you truly are, is going to break every limit you've ever believed about yourself. Stay with me until the end, because you're about to understand the exact moment your choices activated a spiritual protocol almost no human has ever touched. And before we dive in, if you're already feeling that energy rising in your chest, that sense that this message is meant for you, then drop 777 in the comments right now. What could possibly force the devil, the ancient rebel who has knelt to no one since the birth of time, to finally bend? What kind of force could shake a kingdom that has never surrendered, never bowed, never trembled? If angels couldn't make him kneel, if prophets couldn't make him kneel, if even God's commands couldn't force him into submission, then what happened 48 hours ago that changed the entire balance of the invisible world? It didn't happen to a saint, nor a prophet, nor a legendary warrior of light. It happened to you, a human being walking through the world as though nothing cosmic was watching, unaware that heaven observes, darkness analyzes, and hell takes notes. But there is only one thing in this existence that makes hell tremble. Not miracles, not prayers, not fire, not punishment. It is integrity, pure, incorruptible, terrifying integrity. The kind that cannot be bought, twisted, pressured, seduced, or broken. The kind that even angels rarely witness anymore. And before you even knew it, your integrity became the anomaly hell never prepared for. Hell never expected this from someone like you, because in the architecture of the universe, Lucifer, the adversary, the rebel, the light bearer turned lord of shadows, is built, coded, and shaped around a single principle. He kneels to no one. His refusal to bow to humanity was never about hatred. It was about identity, hierarchy, and absolute cosmic programming. Kneeling would mean he acknowledges something above himself, something more worthy, something more pure, something more divine. And for 6,000 years, no defeat, no humiliation, no loss has ever broken that condition. He has fled from saints. He has been wounded by archangels. He has been forced out of nations, churches, hearts, and homes. But he has never ever once knelt. Not in surrender, not in fear, not in recognition. Until he saw you. But it didn't happen suddenly. It began quietly, the way earthquakes begin underground, invisible until the moment the world splits open. 3 weeks ago, your name, your actions, your decisions triggered something in the deepest surveillance network hell maintains. The system that analyzes human souls for weaknesses, for predictable collapses, for the familiar patterns of compromise. And while you moved through your day thinking nothing special was happening, the black halls of the underworld froze. Something in you lit up like a forbidden alarm, a pulse of rare moral data that the dark side hadn't seen in generations. You displayed something that 99.999% of humanity never shows: the refusal to break your own moral spine, even when breaking it would be easier. It started on a quiet Friday night. The kind of night where the world sleeps and only your thoughts stay awake, rattling like chains against your chest. You were faced with a decision that didn't come from outside. It came from the ache of your own soul. 2 paths lay before you, both heavy, both filled with consequences. One path promised instant relief, instant escape, instant solutions. It would take away your stress, your fears, your pressure. but it would also violate something deep inside you, something so ancient you barely understand it. The other path promised pain, struggle, slow progress, and loneliness, but it preserved your integrity, the one piece of yourself you refused to lose. For hours you battled with yourself. You felt the war in your bones, the whisper of the easy route calling you, tempting you, seducing you with its shortcuts. But somewhere inside your soul, something immovable rose up, not pride, not stubbornness, but truth. And when the moment came, you chose integrity. The dark system classified your decision with a rating recorded only 12 times on Earth. Integrity Anomaly Level 9. A classification reserved for people who cannot be bribed by comfort and cannot be threatened by suffering. Hell was not prepared for that. 5 days later, they made their move. A temptation crafted so perfectly it could have fooled even the wisest of minds. Not a cliché temptation, not lust, not greed, not simple lies. No, this was tailored for you, stitched from your memories, your weaknesses, your fears, your dreams. It offered a solution to everything weighing you down. Money, recognition, love, opportunity, freedom. It was everything you wanted wrapped in one beautiful package, and the compromise attached to it. So tiny you could have justified it in a single breath. Most people would have said yes without blinking. Most people do say yes, but when it stood in front of you, something inside whispered, "This is not you." You turned it down. The predictive engines of the underworld glitched. The 7 princes gathered to analyze you, the strongest minds of darkness, each a specialist in breaking human souls. Pride insisted you must be delusional. Envy argued you secretly crave recognition, but refused to admit it. Wrath insisted your boundaries were a sign of repressed desperation. Greed analyzed your desires. Lust scanned your vulnerabilities. Sloth predicted you would eventually collapse from exhaustion. Gluttony thought you were distracting yourself from your own emptiness. But after hours of analysis, all 7 reached the same unsettling conclusion. This one is untouchable. And then came the moment that truly terrified them, the revenge moment. A perfect opportunity fell into your hands. Someone who genuinely wronged you, someone who deserved consequences, someone whose downfall would have been justified. You had the power, you had the chance, you had the emotional ammunition, and you had every reason to pull the trigger. Darkness held its breath. They loved these moments, justified revenge, the cleanest trap ever designed because it makes you feel righteous while destroying your purity. But when the moment arrived, you walked away. Not from fear, not from weakness, but because something in your soul refuses to participate in the cycle of pain. You chose peace over victory, mercy over ego, stillness over retaliation. Hell panicked, because a soul who cannot be tempted with shortcuts, who cannot be bought with blessings, who cannot be manipulated with revenge, is a soul that cannot be controlled at all. And that is why, 48 hours ago, for the first time in all of human history, the devil knelt, not in worship, not in surrender, but in recognition that you have become something unbreakable, something priceless, something that even the shadows must respect. Your integrity forced a kingdom built on corruption to bow. Your choices bent the spine of the most ancient rebel in existence, and even heaven paused to watch. So if you're still listening, if you're still here, if this story touched the place inside you that knows it's true, then don't just watch quietly and disappear. Your story deserves to be heard. Your journey deserves to be witnessed. Your strength deserves to be seen. So drop a comment, share this with someone who needs to remember their power, and hit like, not for the algorithm, but because even heaven pays attention when souls like yours rise. Hell expected your integrity to crack eventually. They assumed your strength had a breaking point and your compassion had an expiration date. But when they realized neither had collapsed, something unprecedented happened. They summoned the infernal court. Not a small meeting, not a discussion among a few commanders, a full-scale assembly where thousands of entities gathered to dissect your existence. Every demon, strategist, tempter, analyst, and prince poured over your life as though searching for a glitch. And what they found terrified them. You weren't operating like a normal human. You carried strength that shouldn't exist at your age, from your background, from your circumstances. You endured levels of suffering that should have shattered your mind, yet you kept moving. They saw integrity so solid it couldn't be bought, bent, seduced, pressured, or manipulated. An integrity that stayed intact even when you were exhausted, isolated, or overwhelmed. And worst of all, from hell's perspective, you carried compassion that refused to die, even after betrayal, abandonment, disappointment, and heartbreak. Strength that endures pain, integrity that never bends, compassion that survives wounds, the impossible trinity, a combination hell considers non-human consciousness. They needed a new strategy. And so 48 hours ago, when you felt that sudden thought appearing inside your mind, not emotional, not chaotic, but perfectly clean, logical, and tempting, that wasn't imagination. That was Lucifer negotiating directly. He didn't ask you to break your values. He didn't tempt you with corruption. No, he offered something far more dangerous. Keep your integrity, he whispered, like a lawyer offering a contract. Let me handle the dirty work on your behalf. You remain pure. I take the stain. It was the most seductive lie ever crafted, a deal designed for people who love goodness but are tired of being hurt. But your soul rejected it instantly, faster than your conscious mind could even recognize what was happening. A rejection so swift that the entire infernal communication grid jolted. And that rejection forced hell into a choice. Lucifer now stood at a crossroads no demon had faced in millennia. Break you and prove heaven's design flawed, or acknowledge your supremacy and follow an ancient law older than creation itself. The law is simple. When darkness encounters a force it cannot influence, corrupt, predict, or defeat, it kneels. The underworld shook when the command was issued. Demons screamed in disbelief. Thousands witnessed their king lower himself, one knee descending into the infernal dust, acknowledging a human soul that exceeded every test. The shockwave from that kneeling rippled through dimensions, vibrating through layers of reality until it reached the gates of heaven. And heaven noticed. Archangels don't appear for small victories. They don't descend for ordinary courage. They only intervene for celestial anomalies that alter the fate of the world. And when you triggered the kneeling event, the heavens opened. Michael arrived first, the warrior, analyzing the architecture of your strength. Gabriel followed, observing how your truth amplifies reality itself. Raphael examined the purity of your compassion, how your heart heals even as it breaks. Uriel studied your judgment, your clarity, your internal compass. They did not arrive to test you. They arrived to witness the impossible. And each archangel confirmed the same thing. You are not operating from learned morality. You are operating from celestial memory. Because here is the truth you forgot. Before you were born, before you chose a body, before you stepped into this human lifetime, you were part of a specialized legion, souls forged for integrity under impossible pressure. You are one of the rare beings who volunteered to enter the world without memory, stripped of power, stripped of knowledge, stripped of identity, just to see if your essence would remain intact. And you passed. So God spoke a decree that echoed through every realm, 3 words that will shape the rest of your life. Activate it completely. Activation means the veil that kept you limited begins dissolving. Your old spiritual restrictions start falling away. Your higher memory flickers back on, first as intuition, then as clarity, then as certainty. Patterns you couldn't explain before suddenly make sense. You begin connecting, unconsciously at first, to the global network of 3,000 other integrity specialists who incarnated on Earth during this cycle. And heaven begins coordinating your path, guiding you toward resources, protection, allies, and missions aligned with your design. After activation, life no longer moves randomly. Financial obstacles begin dissolving at the last possible second in ways that defy logic. Toxic people exit your story effortlessly, as if pushed out by invisible hands. Opportunities align with impossible precision. Synchronicities become so frequent you stop calling them coincidences. People around you start waking up simply by being in your presence, not because you preach, but because your frequency destabilizes their illusions. And then your true mission begins. Humanity is at a crossroads right now. Standing between massive evolution and dangerous regression, your role is not to fight darkness. Your role is not to save the world with loud battles or flashy miracles. Your mission is to embody integrity so visibly, so unapologetically, so consistently that it becomes a new blueprint for human strength. Every time you choose principle over pressure, you shift the collective field. Every time you choose compassion over revenge, you rewrite what power looks like. You become a living frequency that activates dormant strength in thousands. And soon the other warriors will find you. They won't need your name. They won't need your face. They'll feel you. They'll recognize your resonance the way magnets recognize each other in the dark. When all 3,000 activate, the collective shift becomes unstoppable. That is why hell panicked. That is why the devil knelt. He didn't kneel because you defeated him. He knelt because he realized he can't corrupt you, can't distract you, can't manipulate you, and can't buy you. He can only watch as you fulfill a mission that existed before your birth. And now the final revelation. Your integrity isn't something you develop through trauma or circumstance. It is your original essence. It survived amnesia. It survived fear. It survived heartbreak. It survived temptation. And in surviving, it forced the ancient ruler of shadows to bend at the knee. You triggered celestial protocols that haven't activated in thousands of years. You are no longer the limited version of yourself. You've awakened your true identity. And if you've made it this far, if you feel the resonance of this truth shaking something inside you, then claim it openly. Drop 777 in the comments to align your frequency with incorruptible integrity. Subscribe if you want more revelations about your activation and your mission. Share this with someone whose strength you've always sensed, someone who might be one of the 3,000. And when you're ready, the next video will show you exactly how activation shapes destiny, opportunity, and the impossible timing that heaven is now setting into motion for you.